It's episode number 170. We've got a great show lined up this morning. We're joined by University of South Florida head coach Bob Butehorn. United Soccer Coaches top 25 rankings are out, and the U.S. Open Cup final takes center stage here tonight. It's Inside the Game coming up right now.
Welcome to Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network. Now, here are your hosts, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler.
Well, good morning and happy Wednesday. It's episode number 170 here on this first day of October 2025. I'm Jonathan Turner. That's Nathan Wangler, Ryan Glinsky, our producer, already on the horn here this morning. Detroit Tigers getting the win yesterday, the W down in Cleveland. A final score of 2-1. Oh, man, Scooble had 14 Ks yesterday. 14K. So I will stand here today. I stand corrected. I said they would get swept.
Same.
I am incorrect in that prediction. I still believe they're going to lose this series. I will continue to say that. But you know what? Every once in a while, a blind squirrel finds a nut. We did that yesterday. Good for the Tigers.
Yeah, well, I mean, the only thing that really hasn't been a blind squirrel in so many different stretches throughout the course of this year and the last couple of years has been Mr. Consistent himself, Tarek Skubal. I mean, that dude is otherworldly. He's almost not human. I think the hard thing about paying him is, and we've had these conversations, is that he's just one guy. And the truth is about pitching is if you invest all of your money into one guy and all of a sudden he's not able to go or he's not able to do whatever, you're in a problem situation because pitching is so you're living on borrowed time when it comes to pitching in baseball. But after he does something like he did yesterday with 14 Ks and helping them to that 2-1 win, that's actually the exact score that I told Ryan before that game even happened. I just thought it was going to happen the other way. I thought Cleveland might sneak it out. No, I don't think it was on the air. I think it was off the air. Okay, well, he remembers, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I remember.
You're going to pretend like it. Yeah, okay.
Meg Jack is in the chat on TikTok. Welcome back, Meg Jack.
But yeah, just got to win one more. Those 3-game series, you never know. You never know.
Why? So they're back in Cleveland today, right?
Yeah, they're in Cleveland for all of them. Yeah.
So
it's a 3-game series.
So they never come back to. That's interesting, right?
They don't come back until if they make it to the next round. They don't play in Comerica till the 3rd game of the series.
So if they were to win tonight, it's over with. If they were to lose, they come back to Detroit.
No, they play in Cleveland.
They play all 3.
No,
Thursday.
So like when it used to be the wild card, like you just played at the team, you played at the stadium of the team with a better record. But now that it's 3 games, they just keep it there for all 3 games if it goes to 3.
Yeah.
So that's just how that's how that works now.
Yeah. I was gonna say that it seemed odd, but okay, good for them. So great show lined up here this morning. Great show. We have Bob Butehorn, University of South Florida head coach. We had a chance to interview him last week with all of our other interviews. I think last week we did a total of 10 interviews, if you count.
We did a lot.
We did a lot. And so we are going to have him on the show here this
We
morning.
did like 6 or 7.
Oh, my gosh. And then we'll get into the U.S. Open Cup here. That final is tonight. Nashville traveling into Austin, where they've been pretty dominant at home. So we'll talk about that. I'll give you our predictions on that later on today. We've got Rochester Christian University soccer kicking off here at 1:00 on the National Soccer Network, and then we also have the CHSL finals here. The Bishop and the Cardinal. Those kick off here tonight at 4:30 and 7. Full coverage. 3 cameras, full production here today. And we're excited about beautiful day for soccer here in the great state of Michigan. So we'll get into those as well. But yeah, I mean, playoffs is in the air, right? We've got the Red Wings not kicking off, but they're facing off, dropping the puck here this week, right? Their
They
season
ain't
starts
making no playoffs, I'll tell you that.
Their season kicks off here pretty quick, doesn't it? I mean, we're talking, isn't it Saturday, their first game?
I believe it is Saturday.
I have no idea.
I could have sworn I saw maybe it was this Saturday, but I know that they
they're
start
in
pretty
preseason right now. But whatever they do, they ain't winning.
Mac Jack says stupid Open Cup final. Now, he would not be saying that had his team actually beaten Austin FC at home here just a few weeks ago. That's a little salty there, Mac Jack. He's a little
Thursday,
salty.
October 9th.
Their first game is next Thursday. They do play this Saturday
Yeah.
against the Maple Leafs in preseason, but it's next Thursday, October 9th, against the Montreal Canadiens. But who cares, because the Red Wings ain't winning nothing.
No. Well, we want to get to this interview with Bob Butehorn, so we're gonna step aside, and we'll be back here on the other side of the break. It's episode number 170 here of Inside the Game on this Wednesday, October 1st. We'll be back. Inside the Game here, and that's Nathan Wengler. I'm Jonathan Turner. Ryan Glinsky, our producer. We're excited now to be joined here by USF heads men's soccer coach Bob Butehorn, and what he's been doing since 2016 has been nothing short of remarkable. A part of the AAC conference down there in South Florida, but we now welcome in to Inside the Game, Mr. Bob Butehorn, and welcome into the National Soccer Network.
Thank you, guys. Great to be here. Looking forward to some good questions here, right?
Good questions is a good one to start with. I have a good one for you. We ask all the coaches this. Typically, it's our last question, but we decided that we think maybe on the front end we should ask this question. First off, South Florida is known for a lot of great things, specifically seafood. But outside of that, if you had to think of a restaurant, a place that you have to go to when you get off that bus, off that plane of a long road trip, where are you going when you get back to campus?
Oh, that's brilliant. It's right in my wheelhouse, guys. I've had this idea for a while that we should start a coaches travel food. What do you want to call it? Podcast or suggestion? Because look at all the places we travel to, and I like personally, and this is you asked for it because I love this stuff. I love the mom and pop places. I don't like areas that you go to and you don't get that feel and flavor of the place you go to. So with Tampa, wow. I mean, you tend to want to kind of lean towards something that's kind of a traditional place down here, like a Burns Steakhouse or something like that in Tampa. But there's a, and I can't think of the name. I want to say it's Natalina, but there's a little Italian restaurant right down in South Tampa that only has about 6 or 8 tables. And you go in there, and it is a very, very Italian place. They have a menu, but they will make whatever you want Italian and get fresh right there. And it's I think it's called Natalina. So
It's
there is my place.
Osterera? Natalina?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I got it right on their website.
Osteria. Yep. So I think that's the spot. And Adolfo is the owner there, magical guy, and really, really good food. So there you go.
Coach,
it's a good secret too.
Yeah, well, and so my mom's side is actually Sicilian. I didn't get any of those genes, unfortunately. I look exactly like my my pasty white dad, but the Italian food is the best, man. Grandma's recipes, you
Yeah,
can't beat them. But
yeah.
one of the leagues that I broadcast in, the Midwest League, all the different locations for all the different teams, they're in the Midwest. So if you ever find yourself in Cedar Rapids, they have really good cereal. I also got recommendations for other places too. So just let
Oh,
me know if
really?
you're ever in some obscure location in the Midwest, because there's a few of them. But I wanted
Oh,
to
absolutely.
transitioning into the soccer talk. I did want to ask you, because it's interesting when we get coaches that come on the show. You know, sometimes they just come on as an open book. They're just ready to field whatever questions come their way, just kind of like they do with the media, and then just kind of go off the cuff. But before we even started the conversation, you mentioned some of the madness in college soccer. That was the word that you used. And I'm interested, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you mention the madness? Because we talk about a few things on our show, but what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you talk about the madness of college soccer?
Well, I think and I can go directly to it. I think it stems in what we're trying to do in Division One men's college soccer in 3 months span, 3.5 months, whatever it might be. And as you stare at that from the lens of the world, it makes no sense. So we're trying to squeeze a season in, pushing these kids, getting them ready, and playing high quality, attractive games. It's not a tactical uh, session for coaches. It is a race, and it is a get it
Mm.
right as quick as you can, and things there's sacrifices because of that. And I think one of the biggest sacrifices, and the reason why I say it's madness, is because you sacrifice the quality of really what you could make this game and the college level. Because
Mm.
I do believe it's an integral part of the fabric of U.S. soccer and our country.
It's a great question to start off with too. And we were talking here a short while ago with a coach down up northeast in Buffalo, and one of the questions we talked about with him was about whether or not, does he talk about the weather when it comes to recruitment? And you're now down south in a much different environment than Buffalo, New York. And so as we talk about recruitment in destination schools, I can't think of really probably a better school or from that standpoint, South Florida in Tampa. How hard is it for you to sell South Florida to potential recruits?
Well, I will say to you, like we definitely make sure that we talk about the weather. I mean, because and the reason why is because it is such a neat place, and we're so lucky to be uh, in this what I would say it's a great city, and we just happen to have some of the best weather. So we definitely use it as a tool and as a recruiting device, but sometimes we don't even need to say it because it's like you said, it's like such an attractive destination anyway. Our thing is that when we recruit, we want to make sure that they're not just coming for the weather, and that's where we really need to find this, promote the substance of the place. And so that's a great question though.
We talk a lot about this, and we're here in Michigan, and I oftentimes argue that when it comes time November, right? November is a very critical time in men's soccer and women's soccer in college, right? Your conference championships are happening then. You're moving on into the NCAA College Cup or whatever division you're in, and being able to play in an environment like a Michigan where it's cold, right? If you grew up in Florida, you grow up in California, playing in November in Michigan, quite different than playing in
Right.
California in November. Obviously, being down in South Florida, a lot of your games take place in the South and obviously in the Southeast. But when you're recruiting players, does region matter, or is it only about like, hey, we want the best, we want this, we want that? What is it that you're looking for from a regional standpoint from players as well?
Yeah, I think your point is spot on. I think there is something about trying to find the right player no matter where they come from, and for us, I think that is our recipe. That is our our design is we go after the best player that we can find. And look, you find a Midwest kid, you generally get a kid that has some let's call it genetic back makeup that just make them a different type of player that we know we can always count on. You get a kid from the Midwest, you generally going to get a kid that's hardworking, disciplined, um, really committed to whatever he's doing. Not like this is kind of where we look at a Midwest, and then if you go out to California, maybe there's spaces where you can get a really creative kid like Florida, but in general, it just really you can find any kid anywhere. It just has to be, what you know what kind of peg you're trying to fit in what hole. And I think right now that's kind of what you're saying. But we do not shy away. We got kids from Norway, and like they come here and they have to acclimate, but they definitely fit. We play.
And kind of building off of that point too, we talk about location being important. There's always pipelines for certain schools, and I think the biggest thing when you talk about being an in-state school like USF, you're competing with the likes of UCF in Florida, in Miami, in all of these different places. You have a lot of top-end Division I programs that you kind of go head-to-head with when it comes to attracting talent to your school. But Southern Florida has a pretty healthy soccer culture, and that's something that I think we all understand. How much of a focus on regional scouting and making sure that you attract some of the top talent around that area of Florida to come to your program? Is that a focus for you guys?
Yeah, I think what's changed, and that's a good question, Nathan. I think here's what's changed in college soccer, and I think it's changed in pretty much. Let's just not slice college soccer into that one. Let's make sure that we focus on just college athletics. The portal has changed everything with regards to building relationships, from recruiting, like you called it, recruiting pipelines. Generally now it is you need to maintain those pipelines, but now it's really you have to be nimble enough to understand you're basically your pool that you're fishing in now has experienced players out there that are all of a sudden in the market. And now while you want to get the local kids, like we have the best 2 local kids in the area for the last couple of years, they're freshmen and they know that their time is maybe on the bench the first year or so. So I think it's just changed. While we do stay regionalized as best we can, we also have to, because we want to compete at the highest level, we have to be there and be nimble and be able to secure guys that are in overseas and in other states.
And so when you're looking for those players in the transfer portal, you're not looking for depth pieces. You're looking for players that are going to come start and make a contribution right away then.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the, add water, there's a player. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
You just really you have to understand, like, the nice thing about the portal is you can find a fix. The tough thing about a portal is you lose some culture, and development and building teams. Like we really have, like at this point, you have to be a different coach. You have to be I'm more of a general manager sometimes than a coach. Unfortunately, that's just where we're taking the game.
It's a balancing act, right? We talk about this all the time with coaches, right? And it used to be just you're balancing, how you manage the team, right? Now there's so many outside, interferences, right? Things that are going to be distractions to the team, or there's social media, there's NIL deals, there's the portal. Everybody has a recruitment video that they're making, right? Everybody's trying to be a part of this process, and I can only imagine what it's like to be a coach trying to manage all of this at some time. And you mentioned that madness, and it really is madness.
Right.
My question about this dynamics that we're talking about in play is you've got players who, freshmen, right? Incoming freshmen or players that want to play at the next level, and then you have players who've already been playing at the next level, a combination wherever. And there's many reasons as to why they might choose your university to come to. But how do you manage the part where you have a player that's already played, who has the experience, wants to come to your school, versus the freshman who's never played collegiately, but also wants to give it their all? Because there's 2 different dynamics there. You've got the freshman who's never played, who hasn't proven themselves yet, but then you got that sophomore who already has proven themselves on some level, and they're both coming to school at the exact same moment, and you're having to deal with that interaction.
Well, like I said before, we're kind of replicating what the pro environment is. And if some of these kids have these aspirations to go play pro, this is going to be their reality. The reality is, like, it is no longer where, well, I put in my time and now it's my time. It doesn't matter. What matters is they have to understand, like, on any given day, your situation can change because of this ability to kind of bring in players. So we try to make sure that our our team is or our coaches are very transparent with this and giving direction to the players that are here. And then also when we bring a player in, we say to them very clearly, like, there's a reason why you're coming here, but the reality is there's a guy here that's proven himself to be a good player. That's the competition. We're going to give you is the opportunity. We're not guaranteeing.
Yeah.
So I think that is kind of essentially, and the thing we have that maybe pro teams don't is when you pay for a high price guy, generally the front office and the organization and the owners wanted to see him playing. And the difference is we can spend the money and he just might not be the guy. We're going to play the guy. Whoever the guy is, that's who it's going to be that day.
We're gonna dive into this season here. Right now, your side is currently 4-0-4. You're 2-0 in the conference. Currently sitting atop, obviously very early in the conference here so far this season. Interesting matchup coming up here next week, Tuesday. You're taking on Western Michigan and Chad Wiseman coming up here next week. And Chad Wiseman and Western Michigan, the Broncos, have had a very successful run here over the last number of years, and they've been doing so kind of in a very unusual way. They're taking a lot of in-state talent and focusing on more of a direct style of play, very direct physical style of play, which is kind of a departure from what we're seeing across the country with more styles of style of play where you're passing the ball around, you're possession focused, and you come at teams in a very more methodical type of approach. I'm curious your thoughts on Western Michigan and maybe that matchup.
Look, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Chad and what he's done there, and I mean that. That's just not blowing smoke. That is absolutely. I when we got the game and I saw it there, I said, I'm really interested in playing with him because he's been successful, and you always want to kind of match yourself against the teams that you might face, in your aspirations to win a championship of any sort. So I think, for me, like, I want to give hats off to that guy because he's done an amazing job and he's done it his way, the way he sees the game and the way he sees the vision for his program. So for me, either having him here and then going back to him, in a couple years, I think that's what we really want, and not to knock the way he plays, because it's not a knock, it's successful. So for me, like, it's more of a, like, I want to figure out how he's doing what he's doing, and if there are pieces of that recipe that can work in my system. So I think, playing a guy that has built his team around, and I wouldn't say they're like I wouldn't say they're so direct that they don't find the game. They've got some good pieces. They might be physical, they might be seen as direct, but I think there are some sincere tactics that he goes in his game and the way he puts it together. And sometimes it can be building, sometimes it can be counters, sometimes it can be a lot of restarts. But in general, he finds a way to win, and it's built on building a good, strong culture. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that game.
Yeah, I think part of being able to do that is being willing to reinvent yourself and find different ways to get the job done. And I think he's done a great job of that. And I think we talked about the culture and the landscape of, you mentioned college athletics really in general. Obviously, it's not just soccer. We've seen a major shift in everything. I guess I'm curious because you've been involved in the game for quite a while now. You've seen what it used to look like, and now you see what it looks like now. How have you and really USF in general been able to adapt to the new environment and still stay competitive? Because I think it's hard for schools. There's just, when you talk about bigger programs and in terms of how much access to resources that you have, sometimes we're creating this atmosphere in college athletics where it's a little top heavy. There's a real big separation between the tops and those maybe who are down at the bottom of the list. How have you guys been able to adapt to the new culture or the new environment?
Well, first, I'm going to make sure that Nathan just called me old there, John. So I just want you to hear that, John. That's all.
It's okay.
That's all right.
I got it.
They're roundabout terms.
It's all right, Jonathan. I'm okay. Nathan's I still like himself. But no, I'm in all seriousness. It's a good question. And I think that's what I would say to you is, like, I think I'm not, patting myself on the back, but I think I do a pretty good job of making sure that I stay really active in trying to understand the changes in not only the players, because that's the biggest thing right now, how the players approach things, their mentality, the different ages, the different, decades that kids come through. But we try to make sure that we do a really good job of asking questions about who we are, and that we stick to the motto of if it ain't broken, break it. Because I think in a lot of ways you can get stuck in some patterns, you can get stuck in some systems, you can get stuck in your old ways. And I think the one thing I'll say to you, and it goes along to that first question you asked about food, is like you have to keep your mind open to ideas, and you have to keep, and that's why I like a lot of different foods, because it brings me in touch to different cultures. And then you say, hey, and like, I would never have known that. And so for me right now, I think we try to stay really active with our brains and staying nimble with our ideas, and continue to ask questions not only of ourselves but of our players, of our our methods, and then just making sure that we make the adjustments that we feel holds the integrity of our program and the way we want to build our culture, but allows us to kind of move forward and build with as the game changes.
Well, that's actually it's great. I love the comment where you say if it ain't broke, break it. I think that's a great philosophy. And here's my question, because we've been talking about the U.S. men's national team and the World Cup coming here in less than a year. And something that we have noticed about the men's team specifically is that a lot of questions have been raised about their work ethic, about how hard they work on the team, the physicality of this team. And obviously, the game of soccer in this country has changed. We even talked about it here a minute ago about Chad Wiseman, and he kind of has that more, while he has a dynamic way of playing, he finds a way to get the results. He kind of has that older school mentality of kind of that direct style of play that we all kind of grew up on. Not Nate, though, because he's younger than all of us. He's still young, right? I mean,
Yes.
So, but I remember the older style of play. And so, with this grittiness, this physicality, it wasn't sexy, but it got the job done, right? And now we're seeing that. We're seeing the sexiness of soccer, right? You're seeing this really beautiful passing, and everyone's about this, that, and the other. We saw a change in youth soccer where you couldn't head the ball until you were 13 years old, and that came about I want to say it was under a decade, right? But we're seeing those ramifications now. Players coming in who don't know how to head the ball properly, don't know how to clear it. We're not seeing the same style of clearances defensively that we were used to, those really physical ones. Have you seen that change in players where you're just like, man, I wish that toughness just isn't there, or you're having a hard time finding that toughness?
Yeah. Okay. So that's a really big question in a lot of different ways. So the first thing I'll answer is the way the game has changed has been through, honestly, better refereeing that allows the game to be more seen as a less, crushing, physical, grabbing. Because look, that's like football dominates our landscape of the U.S., right? And it's a very physical game, and we can be a physical game without being like distracting to the quality of the aesthetics of the game. Okay, so that's the one thing has slowly changed that most people don't talk about, but we have to continue to have those type of referees in this, it moving into the right circles and climbing that that kind of like progression of the game. So getting back to like what I see, I haven't seen yet the like the not equality with the heading and all that kind of stuff yet. But what I have seen is less creativity. Our game is built on being able to improv and read visual cues at speed and allow the game to flow naturally, that it feels like they're feeling for the game, they're not trying to force themselves in the game. So one of the things I always compare it is, if you watch, let's just say, our men's basketball compared to other nations, while other nations are getting better at basketball, we've evolved so much that our creativity is so much higher. And what you'll see us do with a basketball and their way they think through the game and they feel through the game is a part of their evolution. We've done it on the streets for so long and on the courts that they just have this thing that doesn't look like what we're trying to do. And we're catching up with that with the US in men's soccer. So I think right now what I'm seeing is we have gotten now more tactics from the academy. We have kids that are overcoached, and what you don't have is the game feel, the the texture that the game teaches you by just being out there with the ball, not having someone telling you take 4 steps right, bring it down with your instep, play it with this foot. It's just a feel. So I guess that's what I've really seen is that I'm losing the natural gift of an IQ of a player that has been taught by the game. Make sense?
No, absolutely,
Yeah.
it does. No, and again, as someone who's been, seen 4,000 games over the last number of years and been a part of this game since I was young, I've seen the dynamics of the game have changed, and in a lot of places it's been really good. In some places, I feel like it could be improved upon or worked out. But Bob, we appreciate you stopping on by here today. This has been a great conversation. We love talking with coaches all across the country about the things that they're doing at their university and the experiences that they are currently experiencing in the college environment, and we appreciate you stopping on by.
Hey, look, guys, what you're doing is awesome. Like, this is also a part of the progression of the game, man. I love it, and I can't thank you enough. And I think you just gotta keep rocking it, man. It's awesome.
Well,
Yes,
you
sir.
as well.
Thank you.
We appreciate you as well. Again, you're currently 4-0-4 right now. Moving on here this week, you're playing Charlotte at not at home. You're at home against Charlotte here on Saturday.
Yep. Yeah, it should be a good game. They're well coached and a good team, and they've kind of held the crown last year. So it's a good game for us.
Well, we wish you and USF much success here the rest of the way, and we'll always welcome you back here on the National Soccer Network.
Amen, brother. Go Bulls.
That is
All right, see you guys.
Bob
See ya.
Udall, the head soccer coach, men's soccer coach at the University of South Florida. And another great conversation, Nathan.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about a wealth of knowledge. I mean, that last question about individual creativity and the evolution of the game, I thought that was wonderfully stated. I thought he was he hit the nail on the head. So that's certainly one of our better ones, and I just like talking about the environment too. And I think he was pretty open about that. He came in with an open mind, and that was perfect. Yeah, great conversation with Coach.
Remember, if it ain't broke, break it. Love it. We'll be right back.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Battle of skill, passion, and determination. The NISA Pro Cup, presented by the National Soccer Network. The stage is set. 10 teams, 8 days, 1 trophy, every moment, exclusively on Roku TV. Kicks off October 13th on the National Soccer Network. It all comes down to tonight. The Catholic High School League Boys Soccer Finals kick off under the lights, presented by Soccer World. The best of the CHSL go head-to-head for the title in a clash you won't want to miss. The passion, the rivalries, and the championship glory are here. Tune in tonight for live coverage only on the Michigan Soccer Network. It all comes down to tonight.
Every time, dude. Every time.
doesn't hit stop.
You don't have to hit stop, my guy.
Easy,
I know,
easy.
but
We're
for some reason
live.
in commercial
We're
too, it just
live.
doesn't hit stop.
We're
So I think it
live.
might be on loop.
Easy.
It might be on loop. It might be on loop. You never know. It might be on loop. So with
It is on loop.
there you go. But we are live. Welcome back here in Inside the Game on this Wednesday morning. We just finished our conversation here with Bob Butehorn. We talk about this. We've had a great opportunity to talk with a lot of really, really cool people over the last couple weeks, and Bob being one of those people. And I think he was maybe our 6th or our 7th guest. What do you think, Ryan?
I mean, that's a good one. I mean, that's great actually. And MechJack's making fun of me in the chat. Says these cutting edge graphics are too powerful. Yeah, that's right. That's why I can't get it done so quickly. It's just too powerful to get done.
Ryan, I think was cut from Minnesota here recently. It's probably why he's having a hard time with the graphics.
Yeah, Minnesota, Indiana, they'd be hating on me.
A lot of comments still coming up though or coming in the chat during that break of our break, because we actually had 20 minutes to sit back and really do nothing. It was kind of nice actually.
That's what tomorrow's gonna be too.
Yep, tomorrow we've got 2 more pre-recorded interviews that will roll here tomorrow. Great conversation with Batman and his players over there at Toledo Rockets and the women's soccer program in Maction. But some great comments coming in about our conversation, a lot of it around what Bob was having to say about the game of soccer. The last one coming in was about, in regard, and this was from MechJack, he was asking about what needs to change at the academy level, focus on tactics and more scrimmage. I think like anything else, the game has gotten faster. The game has gotten more technical. The players are more intelligent as soccer players than they've ever been, and that again is obviously a direct result of the change in technology, the change in coaching, the change in our environments here. Everything has improved, and so you're going to see a much more improved player, a player that when they come in are more dynamic than they were yesterday. Again, when I was growing up, if you were a defender, you were a defender. You didn't get forward, right? You kind of hung back. Maybe you saw a ball pass back to you every once in a while. But now if you're an outside back, you're more of a forward, to be fair. You're a midfielder, right? If you're a midfielder, you're going to be going everywhere. And so the player today has to be interchangeable within that formation, whatever formation that you're using. And if you're an attacker, you might find yourself as a defender and vice versa. And so I think that, when he's talking about the dynamics of the game and how they have changed, and more importantly, how the academy has changed the game, he's talking specifically about the technical aspect and really the focus of the academy has always been about training. It's always been about training. The games are the way in which you measure, just like in the classroom, the tests are a way to measure whether a student knows the content. A game is the test in which you know if the player understands their role and how they fit into that role throughout the game. And that is an area that we as a nation didn't focus on in the early stages of our soccer history, right? We didn't focus on that. We focused on the result of winning and winning at all costs, and not so much focusing on the individual player within that formation, within that system, and how they would ultimately, in a team environment, create success. And I think that that's the area that Bob is really spending a lot more time talking about and was trying to allude to in our conversation. So hopefully that answers MechJack's question. But
the evolution of the game too. I mean, I liked his basketball analogy. I thought that was wonderfully stated. I mean, it's true. Like they play very fundamental ball wherever you look across the world, and they're producing great individual players, and they're starting to get a sense for what this game looks and feels like, and really kind of developing their own brand of game over in Europe, versus where, how we play here in the United States, which in a lot of ways relies on athleticism and creativity. I mean, that's exactly what Coach said. And it's not as maybe pretty as the game they play in Europe, but because of how far we've come as a country and our understanding of how this game works, we play it a different way. We almost kind of play our own brand, like whether that be in the NBA or college ball. Now, whether or not you like that brand of basketball, regardless, it wins if you're good at it, and it's predicated on shooting the deep ball or driving to the lane and jamming. You're going to get one of those two results the majority of the time. It's just because players are so unbelievably athletic now and their ability to shoot from wherever on the court. Obviously, Steph kind of ushered that era into the mix, but that's really true. I mean, that's, and I've tried to draw that analogy before, but I thought he stated it the way he stated it was really accurate. Yeah, but to your point too, I mean, I've always found that interesting, like specializing kids when they're so young and getting them to only train to play this position or be in this spot for their entire life. To me, that's always struck me as weird. I've always thought, it's actually good to be durable. It's good to be available. It's good to know how to do multiple different things. Like, I've always found that part of it to be a little not the right way to go about it, because again, when you talk about creativity, a lot of that is born from understanding being in different spots and having experience in different spots, whether it be different positions on the field or what have you. So I thought that was a really interesting point by him too. I thought it was an enlightened conversation at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think that as someone who played goalkeeper from the time that I was 11 until the time that I graduated high school and went on into college, it was very specialized for me at a very young age. You should not be specializing in position until you're 13 years old, and that's the recommendation right now of U.S. Soccer. And if you talk to coaches across the country, that's what they want. But if we think about other sports too, if you start talking about the evolution of other sports, right? When does a player who is playing in football, for example, really decide that they want to be a quarterback? Really, it starts in the high school environment, right? I mean, yeah, you might be throwing, again, if you're in Texas, you're probably as a quarterback training at 11 years old with a quarterback coach because you're trying to go, anywhere and everywhere. And so I would argue that there's some players out there that have the acumen, who have the background of training and money and everything, and then we're putting all their energy into being a quarterback. But again, a lot of that starts again because you don't really start throwing a football in the football environment until middle school age, right? And so because you're running the ball like 900% of the time. So, but in the soccer environment, having a goalie become a goalie at 10 makes no sense. And really, if that goalie isn't going to become like a really, really solid goalkeeper, you're basically setting that player up for failure. Because that's the only position they know. And if they get into another environment and they try to play another position, they're not going to be successful at it. And so we even tell, because the goalkeeper today, and this is why I always say, like, me as a goalie, when I was training, it was me with maybe another coach every once in a while that'd be back there taking shots at me while everybody else was playing. I never really got much involved in all the trainings that all the other players did because I was a goalie. Why would I train for that? But now you have to be one of the best field players on the field today if you want to be a goalkeeper. It's not just about stopping shots. It's about being able to be another player on the field that can use their feet in order to help build. And so specializing too young is a detriment to the overall success of this country. And I think it's a great point that he made as well. Staying on the college game and staying here for a moment. Every week, the United Soccer Coaches release the top 25 ranked teams in the country. We've seen some movement here, especially on the men's side. The women's side has been a little more consistent. But the men's side, we've seen a number of changes at that number one spot here. And so let's take a look here at the men's side. Portland has made their way to number one here in week 6 of the top 25 ranked teams around the country. Again, NC State, which was previously ranked number 1, is now number 2. Stanford is number 3. Remember, Stanford was number 1 here a few weeks back. Vermont, Bryant, Georgia Southern, High Point, West Virginia, Duke, and UNC Greensboro all in the top 10. Remember, last week, Michigan was in the top 5. At 5, they were now number 11. Indiana is now number 12. Remember, Michigan lost to Michigan State here this past weekend. I think that final was a 3-2. It was a 1-goal game. I know that. I just don't know if it was 3-2 or 2-1. But Princeton, Georgetown, San Diego, Virginia, Marist, Maryland is at the 18 spot. 19 is Akron, Oregon State, 20. And then you look at your bottom 5 in that 25, St. Louis, Marshall, Notre Dame, Kentucky, and Furman. But there's a look at your top 25 on the men's side. Take a look here now at the women's side. Again, Virginia's been in that top spot, I believe, now 3 weeks in a row. They're 9-0-1. Notre Dame at number 2. Stanford, number 3. Both Stanford on the women's and men's side are at number 3 this week. We saw them both number 1 here. I want to say it was 3 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago, isn't that right, Ryan? They were both number 1 at some point in time here, both Stanford men and women.
Yes.
UCLA, Tennessee, Florida State, TCU, Arkansas, Memphis, and Iowa all in the top 10. Michigan State, though, have made their way back in the top 25. They're at number 16. I believe that the last time they were in the top 25, they were actually ranked number 16 as well. Wisconsin in there as well from the Big Ten. North Carolina at number 19. So there's a look at your top 25 for the women's side as well. But because even Bob was talking about how football is king in this country. He alluded to that, right? And even Ryan and I were kind of talking here in the studio during that conversation about the fact that, because there's all this hard hitting, the refereeing obviously has gotten better in soccer. But if they want soccer to become more like, or college soccer to become more like college football, what would you have to do? Well, one of them is obviously having rankings, like we see every week. But the media involved in this, it has to take a step up. We have to provide more media coverage. We have to create that environment. The environment's there. It's there for it's there for the taking. You could do it. You'd have to be selective about how you would go about it. I think there's a way to be able to do like a kind of college game day environment where you pick like big time matchups, and you give them national attention. You don't have to put the only things on the Big Ten network. To be fair, the Michigan State game, that men's game should have been on ESPN2. You'd have bumped that to ESPN2 on a Sunday night, right after football, right? It sounds not ESPN. Okay, so maybe not ESPN, the main channel, but you could start there, and have a great pregame show. Do what you do for like U.S. men's national team games. Have a table with analysts talking about the game. That's one way to really hype up the college environment. And I think college sports is ripe for that. You have a lot of kids and broadcasters who want to get into this world. And so why not create one in which you have a seasoned host, maybe a network host, along with a bunch of the college broadcasters who want to up and come and see what happens.
Yeah, it's a slow build. The truth is like the money side of it is always going to reign supreme. Like what's the big money maker? It's always football. At least generally speaking, at a lot of these bigger programs, it's always football. And I think the one thing that football has that a lot of other sports don't have, and soccer included, and I think baseball you can put in this conversation. Heck, you could put basketball in there as well, because truthfully, college basketball is really popular and a lot of people love it, but majority of the people love it when you get to March. That's when college basketball really takes off. That's when the fringe fan is going to jump on the bandwagon like they do for football. But the one thing football has, American football, is it's once a week. So you get Saturday and you get Sunday. Now, if we're talking about the MAC, okay, you might have a random Tuesday or Wednesday game mixed in there, or one of these other off-brand, MACtion, or one of these other off-brand conferences. You might get, a non-Saturday game, but for the most part, like, it's college football Saturday. So if soccer wants to emulate something that's even in the ballpark of what college football has going on, that's where it all starts in my mind. Create a day, create a game day. This is soccer game day. Like, we play on Fridays or we play on whatever day it is. Like, you have to create a moment in the week where it's like you have all these big matchups. Now, that's a lot of planning, and that's a lot of people coming together to create something that's interesting. But if your most interesting matchup as a league is a Michigan State game, but it's in the middle of the week, or it's like Indiana and someone else who's top ranked, but they're playing on Thursday at 4:00. It's really hard to get people to like, wow, like let's watch this unbelievable matchup. It's possible, but you have to, again, it's about marketing, and it's about setting aside a day and really kind of planning this thing out, because I do think it is possible. And to your point, JT, you talk about media coverage. Like, even for me, like, coming into this space, the soccer space, like, I've gotten a tremendous amount of opportunities with not nearly as much experience as a lot of my counterparts. And I think it's because there's this need for more media presence. There's just kind of this void in a lot of places. They just don't have it. And that doesn't mean that there aren't people who aren't interested in watching or consuming that. It's just that it's not as saturated. You look at football, it's so saturated that everybody's got a guy. You look at basketball, you look at these other main sports, you're not going to see a lot of that. So they have to set something aside and make like a certain day or a time special, really plan it out. But yeah, more media presence is definitely necessary to make any of that possible.
I'll add this again. Soccer kind of screwed themselves too. They play in the fall, and football's obviously in the fall as well. And a lot of these games are played on the Plus networks, where you have to subscribe to it, whether that's like the Big Ten Network Plus, ACC Network Plus, SEC Network Plus. But again, Mekchek has mentioned that he's a big hockey guy, and I don't know much about college hockey. I know you guys do.
From Minnesota.
And he's saying that if you want to make more money, you make the model like college football. But if you want to make players, you make it like college hockey. And he also mentioned like Friday, Saturday college hockey, that big money maker, meaning that college hockey plays their games on the weekends as well. But I would like to hear what you guys or Nate thinks about that, because I know you're big into college hockey, and there's a TikTok sound.
I mean, you can't do double headers in soccer the way you do in hockey. I mean, that's probably, you're not going to do like a home and away quick back to back. Like it's a little bit different in the two sports, but I agree. Like you got to make it weekends, and you have to make it during a time of the year where people, you can create something.
Do you honestly think college soccer should be played maybe in the spring instead of the fall? Because the fall you lose football, or you already have football. That's already supreme. And then what do you have in the spring outside of baseball?
I don't think, again.
But it runs directly into the other leagues too.
Yeah,
that's the other problem.
Know, again, if we're talking about from the standpoint, and I'm not saying that soccer fans aren't also football fans. I just don't know if the football fan who is a diehard football fan is going to then become a diehard soccer fan. You know what I mean? I just don't see that. So I think that if we're
no one's saying that.
Yeah. So I think my perspective on this is that if you could create like Soccer Night in America. Or something like along those lines, right? Well, you create. Well, here's what my point is this, okay? The MLS is typically on their biggest games are on Saturdays and Sundays. That's where most are coverage, and they're usually in prime time. They're usually again between 4:00 in the afternoon all the way until midnight on Saturdays, and then you have your featured game typically on Sunday. You only have a couple games I think on a Sunday afternoon, which because it is designed to create more buzz to watch those games. This is all about scheduling. And so networks like the Big Ten, or not networks, but conference like Big Ten, the major Power 5, or Power 4, whatever you want to call it, schools have to create a featured game of the week, right? And it starts there. And they have to move that game from their normal Tuesday game into a Saturday or Friday night. That's what you're going to have to do, right? And if you do it right, it can work. So, like for example, if we know that Michigan has this football game on a Saturday it's an afternoon game at noon. Well, that you could probably be successful having an afternoon or like an early evening game where a Michigan soccer team could be playing, maybe in that stadium. You know what I mean? Maybe you roll it in that environment. Maybe you make it where that game takes place. I know we don't like to play soccer games on football stadiums, but you could put it in there where that game, hey, roll it in, have it come in at 5 o'clock. That game is 6 o'clock kickoff, and you let people stay. And so, you have 100,000 people watching the football game, but you might get 20,000 to watch that game. It sounds maybe that's you, but you might get that. I actually think you would.
I don't think you would.
You don't think you'd have 10,000 people stay?
No, I don't think at all, because you play at noon, they're drunk. They want to go to bed or they want to go eat.
Oh, yeah, no, the students ain't sticking around.
I
can tell you that much.
Two, you still have the whole slate of college football that these people want to watch. I don't think
Michigan State is currently drawing at least 3,000 to 6,000 people to every one of their home games.
They're not getting 15,000 played at. This could work.
You're not going to get
This could work in states like Iowa and Nebraska because of look at what they did with the volleyball program, and then Caitlin Clark doing in basketball. But that's a little bit different than what they did. But I'm telling you, if you play a soccer game a couple of days after. Well, first off, the football team wouldn't even allow that because you tear up their field, and two, you're not getting the majority of those fans back. Those are diehard football fans, and they are going to watch the rest of the college football slate.
Again, I'm not saying the diehard football fan, but I'm saying you would get some rollover. And again, if you're the men's soccer team at Michigan State is already drawing 3,000 to 4,000 people to their games. I've seen it. They're women as well, and so those 3,000 or 4,000 are going to come. All right, so they're going to show up, okay? And then you're going to have some rollover from the other game. I actually think that you'd probably have 10 or 15,000 people in that stadium if you did it right after football. I'm telling you, I think it would happen.
If you do it, you got to do it on a weekday or a Friday night.
Well, how are you going to pull that? How are you going to pull off a weekday though? They don't typically have football games on a weekday.
You can't. What you're suggesting would not happen. You're not going to get rollover from a football. What you might get a little bit for the people of waiting for traffic to clear so they can go home. But I personally don't think that you are.
Wow, the optimism coming here from.
No, if you look at Michigan and Michigan State, though,
it's just being
environments that I've been in, that doesn't.
Yeah.
No, they're not. It's that wouldn't have. I like the idea. I really like the idea. But with Michigan and Michigan State, I don't think that happens. This works in states like in Iowa. Like in Nebraska, it would not work at Ohio State. It would not work at Ohio State. Big, massive football programs, this would not work. But if you have a college football team that is not making bowl games or kind of hovering around that, but you have a good soccer program, that would work. But when it comes to soccer, which again, that describes Michigan State perfectly. But I personally do not think this would work, especially at Michigan. I don't think it would.
I actually, again, I completely disagree with Ryan on this. I actually think that you'd have a lot more people stick around than you think. I actually think that because we've seen what happens in that stadium when the Arsenal show up. We've seen
Arsenal's not showing up.
Was it Manchester United?
It was United and Real Madrid way back in the day.
But again, 100,000 people showed up for a soccer game. Again, I understand the players. I understand what was going on there. But I'm telling you, I actually think the numbers would actually be significant. And the biggest challenge here, though, to be fair, isn't whether or not the crowd will show up. The biggest challenge here is logistics. And logistically, it would be a nightmare.
Yeah, thank you.
And so that's really why it probably wouldn't happen is because you would have to clean the stadium.
Yeah.
It
get media in there, switching people in and out. If you're on a grass field, it ain't gonna happen. They're not gonna let you play after a football game. There's no way.
Happen.
So
yeah. So but again,
that was my whole point.
I don't think it's a crowd issue. I think it's more logistics. I think you would absolutely have layover.
I don't think you would
rollover.
I'm somewhere in the middle between y'all. I don't think it would be nearly as high as what you're saying, JT. I also think people probably would stick around just to make sure traffic clears out, especially if you're in Ann Arbor, dude. That place is not designed for 100,000 people to be in one spot. It's just not. Okay, so that would be a nightmare. I just think I'm somewhere in between. I think you would get some spillover from the football game, but I would it be significant enough? I don't know, but I do think it would be a good idea to get the soccer team more involved and just in the limelight in front of people. I mean, it's Mauricio Pochettino showing up for game day. Like a little shit like that makes a difference.
Yeah, you could do
it
that.
makes a big difference.
Alexi Lalas hosts it. Maybe Tim Howard. In there. Yeah, I could. Game day could definitely. You could definitely. We should fill out like a hypothetical like college soccer game day crew.
John Turner, Nathan Wenger, Ryan Glinsky, and Alexi Lalas.
God.
And Rob Stone. That's who it would be. We'd all be putting our hats on, with like different things. We
got 5 people with signs behind us. That's it. A whole 5 people.
Soccer sucks.
And I bet you McAfee would totally do this, and he would do his little like field goal thing, but we would do like penalty shot instead. We
get Tim Howard to go in net. We get Tim Howard to go in net.
You know what would make it work?
Better yet, we're the goalie. We're the goalie
themselves to be the ones who have to wait in line to take a penalty shot, right? That would be, have them, the football players, non-kickers though, but actually have like, a lineman go up there and try to take a PK. Like that would actually draw a crowd. That'd be fun. So, anyways, well, we went over time almost here. We gotta get to the question of the day.
Question of the day, but before we do that, Salt Athletic, an official sponsor of us here at NSN. Save 15% off by using promo code NSN15. Scan that QR code or visit saltathletic.com today. And I'm sorry, Mac Jack. Who will win tonight between Nashville and Austin? I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So had Minnesota won, I would have obviously not picked them either. But in this scenario, Austin FC gets the win here tonight. I'm going to go with a 2-0 victory in favor of Austin FC. That's what I'm picking. They're really good at home. They're riding that wave. Give me Music City will not be able to compete there in Austin.
I'm going to go with 1-0. I'm going to go with a late goal, probably in added time. Some sort of deflection, something awkward, something weird happens. It's going to be knockdown, drag out, 0-0 throughout the course of the entire thing, and something's going to happen at the end, and someone's going to pull it out. I'm going to go with Austin FC, too. I'm going to go 1-0, though.
I'm glad that someone in this chat agrees with me. Mekchak's picking Nashville. I'm going with Nashville. Sam Surich is going to win it 2-1. Huh?
Huh? No, I was just saying his name in a weird way. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sam Surge is going to win it 2-1 in extra time. It's going to be 1-1. Those $4 Michelob Ultras inside Austin FC will be flowing. I know if I was there, I would be chugging them. Pause. But Nashville is going to get it done. They're going to get the win. And give me Music City to get it done.
This is where I get confused. Now, this question is directed at Mekchak. Okay, you lose to Austin FC. Now, I'm not saying you should be rooting for Austin FC, but had your team won, you'd be obviously rooting for your team. But they lost. Don't you want the team that beat you to go and win this thing? Because then it makes it sound like you just got your. You don't want to lose to the loser.
You
want the team that beat you. You don't want that team to feel anything anymore.
I hate that.
Like, for instance, last year when the Guardians beat us, I was like, I hope to God they get swept, and I think they did by the Yankees. I want nothing to do with that team.
That's a whole different
thing. Just like TCU beat Michigan in the college football playoff, I wanted them to get killed by Georgia, and guess what? They did. That's exact. And he's asking, are we picking favorites or are we picking winners? I'm picking Nashville because I think they're going to win. Sam Surge going to get it done.
I'm picking winners. We're picking winners. I don't have a favorite here. I have no skin in this game. What I'm saying, though, is a former athlete, when I lost, I want the
other team to lose. Easily.
Yeah, well, you never won anything.
I won stuff.
I've won state championships. I'm telling you this right now, my guy. You don't.
I didn't know we were talking about the 1990s.
Talking about state titles from 30 years ago.
Whoa.
Back in my day.
Sorry. 15 or 20.
Whoa.
Nate's got a ring recently.
I don't know how that.
Well, because he's younger than me.
Nate's got a ring as of a month ago.
What? That doesn't count.
He's a part of it.
I just didn't think we were going to be bragging on state championships today.
No, I did.
Back in the day.
Back in my day.
Well, all I'm saying is that
Mekchak saying Nashville's better than Austin right now, and I don't care about either. Nashville's winning, buddy. Nashville's winning. And when Nashville wins, get back in that chat tomorrow morning, and we're going to talk shit to both of you
angry
guys
video.
about Nashville's winner.
Austin FC is going to win tonight. And it had, whether they beat Minnesota or not is obviously irrelevant at this point. But again, the winner tonight will be Austin FC. That's my my pick. 2-0 will be the final score of that game.
John, haven't you known after my first prediction that I'm
you mean the one
right?
time you've only been accurate? The one and only time so far?
How many times have you been accurate? And he said, Mekchak saying they barely beat Minnesota. Barely beat Minnesota. So
it doesn't matter how barely you beat them. Doesn't matter.
Barely.
Doesn't matter.
Nashville's getting it done. Give me Music City.
We got a lot riding on this tonight.
We do.
This is gonna be a great cold open tomorrow.
They watch party of one.
I think it's funny. Oh, you barely won. You still lost. Doesn't matter how barely you lost or how barely you still lost. Barely doesn't matter. What matters is that you're not in this game. That's what matters. And you're both wrong. Well, actually, no, me and Nathan are gonna be right here tonight because Ryan's picking Nashville, we're picking Austin. Me and Nathan are right here.
He says it does matter when you're picking winners. Give me Nashville's getting it done. Nashville's getting it done. That's all I gotta say.
Well, according to FC26.
FC25.
Oh my gosh!
You mean
yesterday,
the
holy
game
cow!
That you can't win.
Whoa! I beat you yesterday 9-1 in a game, dude. Like 9-1.
That was the one time in like 20 games where I
I'm
got
sorry,
killed like
but
that.
there was no barely yesterday, okay? I kicked your ass in
one game, and who won all the other ones?
Well, doesn't matter. The
And
one game.
I let you make it close in that last one so I could get the scoreline to be 6-7. I let you score that last one in stoppage time to make it 6-7 strictly for the meme.
Jesus. There you go.
What the hell's going on at the studio these days?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
What do y'all got going on over there?
I know. Well, hey, that wraps up our episode number 170 here on this morning. I want to thank everybody for tuning in here today, as always. We'll be back here tomorrow morning. We'll be joined by Toledo women's soccer head coach and Mark Batman. It is pronounced Batman, by the way, but I'm not gonna change that.
MechCheck's asking if we're arguing about video game soccer. Yes,
we were absolutely arguing about video game soccer. That's true. And then
100%.
we'll also be joined by I believe Megan Spittler and Morgan Spittler. Thank you, and Gabrielle Anular. Both of those players will join us as well tomorrow here on Inside the Game number 171. So it was a great week here of guests. We're excited about taking a break from the guests. I know that Ryan has been really excited about that over the last couple of days. So, but either way, we're happy to have you stop on by. Don't forget, like this, share this with your friends, share this with your friends and family. Like, share it.
Hey, your grandparents, your grandparents ain't doing anything. I know that they're probably just drinking coffee all day. You tell them. Them instead of tuning into the news, you tune into this.
Watching
talk about real soccer.
Something.
MechCheck's also saying we should get a USL rep to talk about promotion and relegation. I don't even know where to look for that, but we can find it.
Don't worry, I can give the USL a call. That's fine. I had them on speed dial. So we'll I know, right? So we I'll get Joel Nash on here. We'll get Chris Inman. We'll get Matt Fisher. We'll get him on here. We can do it. So, anyways,
name dropping.
I am name dropping.
I said he's name dropping.
Now we got to make a little meme out of that and send it off to them so they can, basically get him on here. All right. Anyways, have a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, Thursday, October the 2nd. Don't forget, Rochester Christian coming up here at 1 o'clock today. And then we have the CHSL, the Catholic League Finals. The Bishop and the Cardinal Championships kick off tonight at 4:30 and 7 here on the National Soccer Network. Oh, there it is. Look at that. 4:30 and 7. There it is. All right.
6 and 7.
We're out of here. Have a great rest of your day.
See y'all.
From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wenger bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.